morning, everyone. So my team, me and Tim over there, there's something quite new recently that can upgrade something of the transient opcode, which some of you have heard, and then we just follow the transientoor. It's a crypto thing. So some of the problems we wanted to tackle today or this weekend was the first thing was about improving user experience. And obviously, when you think of one of the blockers is people have to sign stuff, people have to be responsible for their own things. So why many sign when few do trick, right? And the next thing, of course, is gas. Obviously, you want to lower the one barrier entry, which is money. The less gas you spend, the better it is. So specific to our use case, we're talking about our token standards and how we can, use some simple tricks to improve behavior for not just consumers, but also maybe pro users who use the DEX often. So our project today actually we built two things. So using the EIP, we actually did one of the most common example, which is to bake the approve into the swap, so you don't have to sign again. The next thing actually was a bit new that we thought of was to have a new mechanism for lending, which I'll talk about later on. So let's get right into it. I'll start with the demo. So what we actually did was a little Chrome extension. Oh jeez. So basically did a little Chrome extension that modifies like popular dexes. So for now we only did it for Uniswap. We added a little button that appears when you try and confirm swap, so you can actually swap without approval. Otherwise, normally on mainnet you have to sign again. So this is actually the live website. If my internet works correctly, it should be able to sign in one shot. So this is the permit tool, it's free. Then it'll appear again. Okay, no. But you get the point. Basically, you only need to sign once, pay gas for once, and then you get the benefit of saving some gas. So let's go back to the slides. That's the main idea for the ERC20. So beyond Uniswap, we also want to do it for other DEXs because quite a lot of them just clone Uniswap, the contracts, and then we can actually bake it into the swapper. And so to talk a bit about why we want to use this, so how much gas could you actually theoretically save. So normally when you use approve and transfer form in Solidity, about like 40% less gas usage, but of course it's quite primitive testing with Foundry and stuff, just a small snapshot. And if you're interested, you can scan this later. And maybe next I'll talk about the lender, the product we built, another product that we built. So what this does is that, let me go to it first. So let's say you have an NFT that you want to lend to somebody, and you don't really want to trust an escrow. So quite a lot of mechanisms require to lock some funding in somewhere, and then you still have to trust the contract to let you borrow it. What we basically did is that so let me just send it to myself again. So I'm going to lend it to myself for one block. So when the next block ends, I'll get to claim it back. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm giving this guy ownership of this token ID. So actually in his wallet you can see the token, but subsequently later I can claim it back without having the guy to approve me to claim it back again, which is much better than, you don't have to trust, you have lower trust assumptions because you don't have to trust an escrow, you don't have to trust the guy to pay you back, right? You could actually just claim it back whenever you want. So let's see if the transaction is done. I don't think it's done yet. Okay, anyways, but once it's done, we will see some details over here on the right side. It will show you that I lent out this token. Okay, That's weird. I think I didn't send the correct address. Let me just. So let me send it to myself. So yeah, basically you get an expiry date, and then after the expiry date, you can claim it back. So you don't have to rely on the escrow, you don't have to rely on the guy. And that's basically the whole idea. I think I'll skip this one just of time. And so a small comparison again with using Approve with the 721s. About 40% less as well, but of course it's not really entirely realistic because you might have more complex mechanisms in place. And interested in the demo, you can scan it later. And so what we plan to do, so this was quite a simple exercise to show what you can do with the new opcodes. And unfortunately we couldn't deploy on the newer chains because the Cancun EVM version was not available, so some of the opcodes were not available. And the first roadmap we want to do is expand it for other token standards. So for 6551, where you put token in a token, you could have it work sort of cross-chain as well, as long as the other chain has the opcode. And the next thing is including more dexes on our Chrome extension, so we could actually use it, for other dexes live without having the user to do anything. And the third thing is to have introduce some mechanisms with the lending, because technically now it's like a different lending mechanism, which you could sort of have different ways to improve like incentives for people to lend in this way, rather than do some pool, for instance. And that's it for our presentation. So if you're interested, you can have a scan on the GitHub and website to try it out. So they're both live already. You can download it if you're interested. Thank you.
Any questions?
Very good project. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really like it. I would like to know more about the NFT lending.
Yeah.
Start the technical details about it. Can you tell us more about it? Because
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So basically what the T-Load and T-Store does is that you can modify, you can load data from the memory, from the heap, and then you have it in memory, you can modify it, and then after the function call ends, it sort of reverse the change. And what happens when so we actually had a custom like 721, so when you call lend, you basically create a struct to to keep track of which expiry date it is, so in the future you can know when to claim it back. And what happens is, when you try and claim it back, we check the expiry date, and if you actually have an instance in this record in our contract, you could have the temporary allowance to retrieve it. So what the T-Load and T-Store does is it increases your allowance balance at that point of time by checking if you owned the token previously and if it's the correct timestamp. Yeah.
Can I understand this like a NFT lending protocol, and it is like NFT contract independently. All the NFT contracts utilize this NFT lending protocol. It's just like the mechanism in the building is different. You are using the technology that you are mentioning, so that there's no need for custody.
Yes. So it is just like two more functions. You have to add on to the 721s to enable the lending, but technically the receiver doesn't need to care because he only can hold it indefinitely as long as however long the borrower lets in before he claims it back, right?
Are you saying that we still need to add something new to the original ERC-721 contract in order to enable this?
It's just a mechanism to keep track of who was the previous owner, and that's about it.
Does that mean that previously deployed non-upgradable NFTs cannot use this?
I think you could have some interaction with another contract to sort of wrap around it, but we haven't really tested that. So
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.